Michele, welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
As a Seattle native, as someone who remembers when MoPop opened and who grew up going to the museum countless times, I'm really, really excited to chat with you.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm very, very grateful.
Absolutely. So for people who may not be familiar, when I say MoPop, that's the Museum of Pop Culture, which is based in Seattle, where I'm from, which Michele is the CEO of.
Thank you.
Yes. Throughout your career, when you were earlier in your career, did you have your sights set on being a C-suite leader? Was that something that you decided to work towards as you were progressing in your career?
I never knew that I really wanted to be a CEO, but for me, I was, managing and going through all of these new roles and wanted to move higher. I was like, how do I move from a supervisor to a manager, to a director, to a vice president? And then, finally getting in the C-suite. It wasn't like I was looking to be a CEO. It just it was me trying to get through those stages. And then it turned into, okay, I think I'm ready for the C-suite now.
Yeah. So more of like a natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What were some of the experiences that you had that you felt really prepared you to step into the CEO role?
It really starts with my mother. She passed away several years ago, but she was always a big proponent of my career. And so her and I would talk through different situations. And I think where I got the catalyst in my career was I had the opportunity to move out to San Francisco from Philadelphia. And as you know, if you don't leave home, you might stay there. I think you and I were just talking about that. So I was a proud Philadelphia girl and was, offered a role to be in San Francisco. And my mom was like, what's the worst that could happen? You can always come back to Philadelphia, but get out and explore the world. And so I did. And I actually never came back to Philadelphia.
So you were in San Francisco for how long?
I was in San Francisco for about 3 years. I had the opportunity to lead SFOSW, United Airlines flight attendants, during a very prevalent time of 9/11. So that was a very it was a very interesting experience for me where I learned a lot of crisis communication planning, a lot of leadership things that were going on at the time. We didn't know what was going on at the time with the terrorist attack. And, I really learned my chops of being prepared and how to deal with empathy and all those different things that I wasn't even expecting to do, but learned that through there. So I was in San Francisco for about 3 years.
Yeah, that sounds like just a challenging time to be in the aviation industry for sure.
It was because, I was the manager of 200 flight attendants at the time. And, there were a lot of different feelings going on. 2 of those planes were SFOSW. Some of those were my flight attendants that passed away. And so just being able to talk to the parents when things happen, the ground stoppage, some of the things that were just going on in the world on a global scale, was very challenging, but I learned a lot from that. And it's actually stuck with me as I moved into different careers in my roles.
Some of the things that we talked about when we were offline was just your approaches to leadership now and how you lead your team. And it sounds like that experience really planted a lot of the seeds for the people first leadership that you carry now.
I mean, I'm a people first manager, right? But I'm very transparent. And I'm, there's no gray with me. I'm really upfront. I really want people to understand what's going on. I really want to center wellness in everything that we do. Most employees coming out of the pandemic are burnout. And I've talked to a lot of HR professionals and I've done a lot of HR studies to see, even in my own self, like, how do I get through this myself? Because I was burnout. I actually had 30 days in between roles. And I had all this, fun stuff planned to go to Paris. They were like, take 30 days off before you start your new role as a CEO. And I didn't. I drove home from work and I was like, I'm feeling kind of funny. And I took a COVID test and, I wasn't positive. But the next day I woke up and for the next 30 days, I was sick. And I mean, the doctors didn't know what it was. I was throwing up. I just had all these weird things going on with my body. And when I found out, it was stress. It was burnout. It was my body finally relaxing and saying, okay, you don't have to think about work for 30 days. And it was just like, whew. And I didn't know how tense I was till I got to that point. And for me, I was like, I can't go into this new role without being healthy. And how am I going to do things differently as I step into this new role as a CEO? That's stressful in itself. But my learnings that I took from that 30 days off really kind of shaped the way that I came into the organization.
So what are some of the things that you do differently now to avoid that level of burnout?
I have a lot of boundaries. One of the biggest things is my schedule. I get up early, and for me, in order for me to work out, I have to work out in the morning. Most times in the evening, I have events, or it's just not going to work for me. I used to think like I have to find out like when is the day or what is the time that's going to work for me to be consistent, and that's in the morning. So I have a whole schedule, and my team laughs at me, but they appreciate it. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I start off with my water and lemon and apple cider vinegar, and then I get started on working out. I meditate. I get myself set for the day. And one of the things that I, am working with my team is looking at your schedule on a Sunday to prepare you for the week. So you're not coming in so, fast and hard. I do a lot of meal prep on Sundays. So, some lunches I'm out for lunch, but the majority I'm in the office. And so meal prepping has become my Sunday thing to prepare me for the week, especially if I'm back to back. I have a refrigerator in my office. I have a blender. We have kitchens. And so I set myself up for success that I'm not grabbing the McDonald's or the takeout or all the cookies or sugar that's in the office, that I'm making smart choices and making sure, like I say, I start my day working out and move into the day that way.
And it's a reminder that the things that you do for yourself as a person are just as important as the things that you do for everybody else.
It is. And it helps you even show up to work better for yourself, right? I want everybody to be well when they're coming into work. I don't want them to be burnt out. And one of the other things that I do is really work with my executive leadership team to say, you do not need to send me an email at 7:00 at night. If you do, I probably won't answer it unless it's something extremely important. Unless it's something that's really on fire. Things can wait. And I think that people, in the way that we work in the fast economy of texting and all those different things, we have to take some time to settle back in, to slow down. My famous saying is grace sets the pace, right? And giving yourself a little bit of grace, right? And so making sure that they don't need to send an email. I time all my emails. So I sent out several emails this morning. I wrote them all yesterday, but they're on a timer to come out at 8:00 in the morning. So that sets my day up for success. But you don't really need to send an email at 9:00 at night. I'm not really going to look at it. And really, what is that really going to do for me? It's going to get me bubbling, thinking of thoughts. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep. So I really encourage my team that when they leave work and be home and be well and cook and be with your families or do what you need to do and come set yourself up for success when you get back into the office.
Yeah. I love that form of leadership.
Before we came in here, we were talking about, what's your motto for 2025? And I'm stealing this from whoever was on TikTok talking about this. So please, I said, if it doesn't, let me grow, let me flow or glow in 2025, it's a no. And it all goes around boundaries and being unapologetic, where you don't need to explain yourself. A no is a no. And I think that you and I were talking about how we have set ourselves up to be conditioned to say, it's a no, but let me explain why. You don't really need to validate yourself. And you should feel empowered to be able to say, it's a no because it doesn't fit into my schedule. And I hope you understand that.
Yep, absolutely. And kind of fighting that urge, especially as women, to over-explain, apologize. Of course, apologize if you did something, caused harm, but saying no isn't necessarily causing harm. Setting a boundary isn't necessarily causing harm. So we don't necessarily have to apologize for that.